Okay, good afternoon. I'm Jayme Connell from Blessing Hospital. And today we're going to talk about SMART goals 2021, how to set the goals so you can achieve and have a great new year. So creating SMART goals is not just a matter of writing things down on paper and then walking away from them, but it's constantly revisiting what you are trying to achieve for your goal. Goals can be divided into categories such as specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and timely. And sometimes that T also stands for tangible, something you can touch, smell, or hear. So as I mentioned first, we want to talk about a specific goal. And this specific goal has a much greater chance of being accomplished when you really narrow it in. And it's always good to have a big end of the road dream, but how are we going to get from point A to point B? And that's where these different SMART goal tactics can come into play. So like I said, you will want to create specific goals. And I like to think of it as the list of 6 W questions. And the first one is, who is involved in this goal? Believe it or not, even though it is your goal, it might take other people to help you and to work with you so that you can accomplish what you're setting out to achieve. Those people can be family, friends, neighbors, maybe even complete strangers. But the more people that you do get involved to help you accomplish this goal gets you a little bit closer to accomplishing the goal. The next thing is, what is it exactly you want to accomplish? An example would be, I want to put money in my savings account. While that's a great goal, you want to narrow it down a little bit more. What is it exactly, the dollar amount that you're trying to save? Are you trying to save $100 by the end of January? So something that's going to be a little bit more time dependent. The next question is where? Where does the goal take place? Is it at the bank? Is it making it to the gym? Maybe it's in your own house and you're committing to making your bed 3 days a week. But identify a location where the goal will take place. When? When is the time going to be accomplished? When will the goal be accomplished? Is it going to take 30 days? Is it going to take 12 weeks? There's no right or wrong answer here. It's just being realistic with yourself. If you think that it's going to take you, 2 weeks to get $10, then you need to really just be realistic with yourself. Which requirements or restraints? What this is going to mean, what's holding you back? And while that might sound kind of negative when you're trying to set a goal, it's really just being upfront with yourself and thinking, hey, this is going to be a barrier. I'm aware of the barrier and I know how I'm going to get through it. You're setting the expectation. And the final of the 6 W questions is why. Why do I want to accomplish this goal? What are the benefits of accomplishing the goal? And examples of that could be, you want to make your bed every morning. That way you feel like you're going to have a crisp start to your day. You want it to try and do that for the rest of your life. It's going to make you feel more organized. Going back to the saving money thing, why are we saving money? Because you want to get, a new set of AirPods, something, just being more specific as to what the benefit of accomplishing this goal would be. Creating measurable goals. You want to establish some really firm criteria for how you're going to measure the progress toward the goal you've set. And even though you're going to set a goal and it's going to be off in the time frame you've determined, you're going to want to revisit your strategies for getting to this goal, maybe daily, maybe weekly, but you'll want to continue to revisit to make sure what you have set is still working for you. So creating measurable goals, again, asking yourself some more questions, really trying to lay the foundation for your success. An option would be how much. Example, $1 a week. You want to do laundry 1 day a week. Just really setting the expectation. how many. That can be days, how many hours. It can be really any type of time frame that you give yourself. Again, there's no right or wrong. This belongs to you. You're owning it, and you're in the driver's seat. And then finally, how will I know when it's accomplished? So you're going to put your end result there. So while goals are great, you want to make sure they're attainable. I think we all have great expectations at the beginning of a new year about the things that we want to do. And it's really just nice to sit down and think, this is a great goal. Now, is it really something that I know I can accomplish? And really get into the right mindset of how you want to go about achieving this goal. And so just identifying goals that are the most important to you. And then you're going to figure out the ways to make them come true. You're going to become passionate about these goals. And going along with that passion, you can attain any goal you set your mind to. And if you incorporate more people into the mix to hold you accountable for that goal setting, that just makes you even that much more close to reaching the goal. You're going to plan your steps. You're going to be in charge of getting from point A to from point A to B. And then you're going to establish a time frame that's going to allow you to carry those out successfully. So kind of a lot of the things that we just talked about, you can see a pattern. It's just, again, going back to planning and constantly being in control of what your goal is. Always be in mind that goals can change. So, like I said, planning is the key. So take time and be creative, and really take a few moments every week and think about, take a Sunday for an example. Sunday at 3:00, you're going to sit down, set the timer on your phone for 10 minutes, and just write down every thought about your goal that comes to mind. And just let your brain go to work. And then when you're done, take a step back and really look at what you've written down, and then put in order what makes sense to you moving forward in those goals. You have to be willing to do the work to achieve the goal. And when you think about willing is that internal desire. You really dig down deep and you really feel passionate about this goal. Able is to do the work. Is it physically possible? Have you done the research? Do you know how to get there? So feel confident about the goal you've set. Feel confident about the research. You've done the planning, you've done the work. And then creating realistic goals. Again, just coming back to what we've talked about. Do you truly believe this can be accomplished? Have you accomplished anything similar to this in the past? And again, take that moment where you're setting those 10 minutes aside to plan and really think, yes, I did make it to the gym 2 days a week. Oh my, it felt so good. You can go back and revisit those feelings that made you feel really good about goals you've set in the past. And then you can take those feelings and build upon it and know, yes, I can do this again. And then can you identify the conditions you need to accomplish this goal? And this is you reaching out to people within your community and asking for assistance. Maybe you have a mentor and that person will help you achieve the goal. Maybe that person has done the goal and you're going to ask them for some guidance. There's nothing wrong with asking for help. Why recreate the wheel if someone has already done it? Pick their brain, figure out what worked for them, what didn't work. And that way you can set yourself up to be the most successful. And then timely goals. And finally, like we have talked about, a goal should be grounded within a time frame. Instead of just throwing it out there, I'm going to go to the gym every day, and then you just leave it at that. It needs to be a time frame where there's a sense of urgency. I'm going to go to the gym 2 times a week. I'm going to go to the library 2 times a week and become familiar with where things are located in the library. Just really setting the time frame. Maybe you even say at 3:30 every afternoon, you're going to do X, Y, Z. Also, T can be for tangible, meaning that you can taste, touch, smell, sight your goal, or hear the goal. So like I said, there's nothing wrong. No right or wrong. This is it's your time to control your goal. And then a suggestion would be when you do have a time frame or you're making your tangible goal, you want to write this down and you want to post it somewhere where you can see the goal every day. It can be your steering wheel of your car. It can be your deodorant in the morning when you're putting that on. It can be your refrigerator, your locker at school. Put your goal somewhere. That way you can just have a little reminder about what you're set up, what success you're set up to achieve every day. And then finally, just a review of our goals. Again, SMART, specific. What do you want to do? Measurable. How will you get there? Achievable. Is it in your power to accomplish it? Realistic. Can you realistically achieve this? And timely. When exactly do you want to accomplish this? Again, no right or wrong. It's all up to you. You're in the driver's seat. Now, when setting goals, it's always fun. I love the first part of the year. It's a great time to really sit down and reflect and look ahead. But sometimes new can also cause stress. Stress can be a good thing, and stress can be a difficult thing. There's two different types of stress called eustress and distress. And like I said, stress is not always bad. It's just simply your body's response to changes that create taxing demands. There's a difference. Eustress, which is a term for positive stress, and then distress, which is negative stress. And we're going to talk a little bit about both of those and give some examples and maybe some techniques on how to work and navigate through the different stresses. So eustress, or positive stress, is going to look like this. It motivates, it causes you to focus, it kind of gives you that little energy boost. It's short term. It's perceived as within our coping abilities. Sometimes it feels exciting. Sometimes when you get a phone call with good news, you get maybe a little heart palpitations. You're so excited. Maybe your face turns red. It's a great feeling, but there's always that little bit of nervousness. That would be a eustress. Sometimes eustress improves in performance. So in contrast, distress is negative stress. Distress might look like causes sincere anxiety or concern, can be short-term or long-term. And sometimes these type of distress, it's perceived as being outside of our coping abilities. And this is when you might bring in someone to kind of help you talk through it. Distress feels unpleasant. Maybe it decreases your performance. And maybe sometimes it causes your mind to not feel as clear or as sharp as maybe you would like it. And examples of negative stressors that are personal to you could be losing contact with a loved one, maybe the death of a family member, hospitalization of yourself or a family member, injury or illness, abuse or neglect or perception of, conflict in a personal relationship, and maybe something as simple as sleep. So again, looking at distress versus eustress. So we talked about distress. It's a little bit more intense, maybe has more of a negative connotation, whereas eustress is going to be healthful stress. It motivates you, focuses your energy, it's short term. You can talk yourself through it. You can really tell yourself, hey, I can do anything, and really use that positive mind talk. It's in your coping abilities. It feels exciting. And again, it improves your performance. So just know that these two types of stress are very common. So examples of positive stressors: moving, taking a vacation, the holidays, maybe retiring. I know you are far away from that, but maybe sometimes your parents, your grandparents, aunts or uncles might be going through this. So it's nice to know maybe what other people are going through. And then taking educational classes, learning a new hobby. While these are challenging, these are all a good type of a challenge. So stressors are not always limited to situations where something outside of you is creating the problem. Internal, such as feelings or thoughts, can also cause and lead to negative stress. So sometimes some of the commonly internally sourced stress sources of distress or fears. Examples would be fear of flying, heights, public speaking, chatting with strangers at a party. Sometimes as a young person, chatting with adults is hard, but I guarantee you, take the plunge. Prepare yourself before you enter that type of a situation with just a few standard questions. Adults aren't as scary as maybe you all might think. And we do enjoy, and adults enjoy talking to people, and that's something that you'll have to do the rest of your life. So it's a good thing for you to tackle. Repetitive through patterns. The more you do it, the more you become comfortable with it. Sometimes sources of distress are worrying about future events, such as waiting for a paper to be graded. Maybe you are going to have a parent-teacher conference and you're worried about that. And maybe unrealistic perfectionist expectations. I always like to share with people that really being perfect shouldn't be the goal. It should be you experiencing the journey and learning from the journey. And some habitual behavior patterns that lead to distress are overscheduling. You might notice that you feel like you have to be in several different places within a short period of time. That can definitely add to stress. Be realistic in your scheduling. Commit to doing something well and to being on time. Failing to be assertive, that can be stressful. And procrastination and or failing to plan ahead. And you can see when you come to something like that, procrastination, how it can cause stress. It goes back to taking that time when setting your SMART goals and really planning ahead. And sometimes it's hard to plan ahead, life happens, but for the most part, you can really kind of take some time to plan out your week and how you can see it playing out. So we talked about different types of stress. So now we're going to get to how do we conquer this stress? And there's lots of coping mechanisms, but we would just cover a few and perhaps practice one together, maybe two of them together. And these are just nice things to take with you now, and you can take these into adulthood and really practice them as frequently as you desire. So one thing you might have heard of is mindfulness. And people laugh, so it's okay if you're laughing. Mindfulness is not easily achieved. You really have to work on keeping your mind still. It can be a very important gift that you give yourself when it comes to dealing with any mental or societal issues that you might come into during your day. It would be wonderful to say you're going to have a daily mindfulness routine. Sometimes that doesn't happen. This is could be one of your SMART goals where you say, I'm going to 2 times a week for 3 minutes work on my mindfulness practice. Doesn't have to be long, but the fact is that you're trying to initiate this, and this will help you deal with some of those stressors we talked about. Many people do practice on the daily, such as meditation. And meditation does not mean you have to sit there and sing, chant. Meditation can be whatever you desire it to be. So there's 2 types of mindfulness practice that will work. And one is you can lie down if that's comfortable for you. It can be on a bed, can be on the floor. But if you do want to lie down, go ahead and do so. Get comfortable. Maybe even place a pillow underneath your knees. That way your body is really comfortable and your mind is at ease. Maybe you turn off the lights in your room. If you'd like to set a timer on your phone, please do so, but then you set the phone aside. You're not going to need it for these next 3 minutes, and I would recommend starting with 3 minutes. So as you lie down, you're going to pay attention to your feet. And you're probably laughing, because why on earth would you want to pay attention to your feet? But notice how they feel. Really slow your mind down and take a second and see, how do they feel? What type of sensation are in your feet? Do they itch? Are they hot or cold? I'm not going to make you smell them. But really just take some time and notice, what do these feet feel like? They carry me throughout the day. How do they feel? Then from here, I would suggest working the way up your body. From your feet, move into your lower leg. Are your calves relaxed? You store a lot of tension in your calves from all the walking. Move on up to your knees. Move to your thighs. Maybe take a second, squeeze your thighs as hard as you can, and then let them relax completely. Move to your arms. Your hands, make your hands in a nice tight fist, and then gently release one finger at a time. And as you're doing this, be mindful of, how did that feel? So you'll go up to your shoulders, and then finally you'll come to your eyes. And then you'll squeeze your eyes as tight as you can, and then gently unsqueeze them. Don't open them quite yet. And then rock your head side to side. And then be still until your timer goes off on your phone. This is time for your mind to reset and not worry about anything else except what you're feeling in your body. So the second type of mindfulness would be a sitting meditation. You can sit Indian style. You can put a pillow under your backside. You can sit against a wall, on your bed, in a chair, wherever feels comfortable to you. You can even sit in your car as long as you're pulled over. And again, it's the very similar concept. You're going to close your eyes, or if you prefer to keep your eyes open, keep them gazed down in a relaxed position. You'll focus on your breathing and notice your breath is going in and out of your nose. Again, set the timer on your phone. I would suggest starting with 3 minutes. And then what I like to do here is pick a number that is important to you. Perhaps it's 3, perhaps it's 5. There's no right or no wrong. So during this exercise, with your eyes open or shut, you're going to breathe in for that number and then breathe out for that number. And you'll breathe in for that number through the nose and then breathe out through the nose. Now, during these type of exercises, it is common for your mind to start wandering. That's normal. That's okay. But this is when you're going to say, no, mind. You're coming back to where we're at in this sitting meditation, and we're going back to our breathing. And sometimes this will happen a lot. It's okay. It's very hard for the mind to be still, and you're doing a great job. So like I said, when you notice your mind is wandering and being active, return your focus back to your breathing and then just finish out your breath work until the timer goes off. But during this, really just commit to the breath. And that's going to get you through these stressful times.